Okay. Welcome to the Stretch Thin podcast,
where we do or discuss, we share our.
I'll keep
where
this.
we
Now you got to keep it.
Yeah. I'll try it again. Where we share our experience as two men trying, not thriving in the 21st century. I'm Shannon, a pastor, a coffee shop owner, and an author.
And I'm Joel, a former pastor, now tech professional, and author. Shannon, that feels good to me that you flubbed it, because for the past 2 episodes, I was flubbing the intro. So it makes you feel good about myself.
We all fall down.
Are you stretched thin? Is that what happened?
Yeah, bro. I feel it. And it's, but it's a good thing that we're doing a podcast, because
I know.
hopefully this is therapy for us.
It kind of is. I mean, well, I was going to say, you look great. I continue to be impressed by your hair always seems to just look chef's kiss. And then 2, I feel like you've lost even more weight in your face.
I think I probably have. There's been, eating has been something that just sort of kind of happens here and there, and I think I've definitely probably
because you're so busy.
Yeah, and I'm in that place. I think there's stress can sometimes take away my appetite, and I've been kind of there. Some people are stress eaters.
Yes, I very much am a stress eater. So
yeah, I'm a stress starver. I think
a stress starver. See, I will starve myself when I'm mad at myself, and my wife is always just like, "What are you doing? Why are you punishing yourself by making yourself not eat?"
For me, it's not. I just don't want to eat. Like I'm like, oh gosh, everybody's eating, so I need to eat. But then I'm just oh, my digestive system gets wonky in stressful times and stressful situations, and so I just feel. I just feel that yucky, like if I eat, I'm going to throw up kind of thing. So,
ooh, wow.
But I don't. So that's good.
Okay, I was about to say, does it? Are you speaking from experience? Did it actually happen?
No, it's that. So I don't know if you had this when I was a kid, and I knew that I was going to be in trouble with my dad specifically. There would always just be this nauseousness that I would feel at school, like, oh, I don't want to have to go home. I'm going to be in trouble. Yeah. And these past few weeks have been a lot of that. It's just like, oof, I don't know how we're going to, what are we going to do about this? What are we going to do about this? And so it's very similar to that. I'm in trouble kind of feeling, and I'm not. I mean, no one's, I don't have to fear anyone's like punishment or coming at me. It's just unsettledness, and so but it creates that unsettledness in my tummy. So yeah, anyhow, how are you? This is a Monday recording for us. You came back from a retreat, a writer's retreat, right?
Yeah, I did. It was, I was working out this morning, and I was like, I think I went a little too hard, considering I did technically basically 10-hour days of songwriting, Friday, Saturday, played/led the music at my friend's church, or the other half of the Grace Collective, and then drove back 6.5 hours and got home just in time for bedtime, and was up late just because, I was tired, but I was like, the adrenaline was still kind of going. And so I woke up today so just, oh man, my body is just not wanting to move. And I did, and I think it went out a little too hot on the workout, but because my strain, my body, it was a tough workout, but my strain was very, very high according to my Whoop. And it was basically it was like a 14 point something strain for one workout. And that basically is proof of you might have gone a little too hard. But it was great. I mean, it's funny. There were a couple things that I really enjoyed moving backwards. One of it was, there's a couple different ways you can go to where we used to live from where we are now, right? You can go on the East Coast. There's a couple north-south interstates. One is 85, which kind of runs a little more of like a diagonal, whereas 95 runs a little bit more of like a almost vertical. And then there's other roads that you can take that are in between, and some of them are more like the back roads, and you're not going to have as fast as roads, but you'll have less traffic. But then you also don't have places you can necessarily stop. Right? That's why you go on interstates. But because I was leaving from his church, which was more on the southern side, and there was this thing called the James River Bridge, I was like, I'll just take that and then go kind of like horizontal and then hit 85, which meant a lot of back roads and back highways and old highways. And at one point, they was taking me down this one road that was closed because they were working on it. And by working on it, I mean, because I was like, are you really working on it? I didn't just take it at face value. I went past the sign because it was barely covering the road. Like it was, half of the road you could go past for people if they lived down that street. So I kept going and passed another sign. Don't, the road is blocked, turn around. We'll see. And sure enough, I got to this spot where basically this huge excavator was perpendicular to the road within like a truck behind it. No one's working. They just like left it there. And I went, okay. So, and the funny thing was, I am the back road farmland of Virginia. Like this, if you don't know Virginia, it's a massive state, and there is a part of the state where it's just like, or like that. I don't think I was in North Carolina at the time just yet, or might have been. But anyway, I was just in that part where it's really just farms and roads, and there's nothing. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have any service, but I still had my map. And I was like, well, guess I'm figuring out how to get back to 85. And so I did. Like, I just looked on the map and I went, okay, I'll have to take a right here and then a right there. And I was on these, and I had so much fun. I was on these super, super windy back roads. And so I put my car into sport mode, put on the paddle shifters, and I was just ripping it. I actually took a video. Like, I put my video on my dash and turned it around my phone and took a video, because I was like, it was literally like some of this stuff and some hills or like that. I was ripping it so much. I told my wife this later. I was ripping it so much in my car that I could smell my brakes by the time I got back to 85. Cause I was just like, dude, I'm not gonna tell you how fast I went, but I went very, 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 very fast for some back roads. But it was so fun. And it was great because I was feeling so tired at that point in the drive. I'd been driving for a couple hours. And I was just like, just not feeling it. And then I had to take these back roads, and it was just a fun thing to get to like really put my car through the paces. Then Sunday, that was, so earlier that day, Sunday, I got to lead again, which is always just fun. Like, I love getting to lead music and lead church through song. And that was really great to do it, and to get to do it with my friend, Matt, who's, like I said, the other part of the Grace Collective. And he goes to a small church too. And, it's funny when you go to small churches, there's a lot more free reign to kind of say what you want. And they were, from the announcements, he was like, you're probably wondering why this beautifully handsome and very tall man is standing here on the stage. And he's talking about how Joel's here because we're writing more songs and we're working on our next album. So thank you for all who support, knowing that your tithing dollars and your support does go to like funding our projects. And so that was cool. And then, Saturday and Friday, dude, it was all day. You started at like 8:30. Matt or I would do a quick devotional time, and then a couple songs in the devotional, so maybe 20 minutes. And then it was write with a group of people. So whoever you picked, you'd write until about lunchtime. Lunch was brought, and then you would write until about 2, where we would all go get coffee. And then you'd come back and you would write until about 5:30, which was dinner. We'd go to dinner and we'd come back, and some people would we would write some more, and we'd write until about like 8:30, 8:45 or 9. That was Friday, Saturday, like all day, but it was great. I think I don't want to misquote it because Matt actually sent, we were talking today about it. I think we wrote, as far as new songs go. Yep. Okay. So we worked on, in total, 19 songs. Including brand new songs and songs that were already like ones had maybe even just like an idea, like a verse and a chorus or a full song, but almost 20 songs essentially that were either brand new from like start from scratch, nothing, or there was already a song tweaked or half a song tweaked. And Dude, I mean, it was great. And I agree. We were saying it that Sunday. We were like, I think these are the strongest songs we've ever had at this point in the process of working on an album.
That's cool.
They're just great. And I love songwriting, and it was a cool opportunity too, because we had part of the retreat is bringing other songwriters in, and some of them aren't as mature as songwriters. Some are very, very, very green. Some have written before, but maybe not as much as in a group. And so it was even cool to just kind of teach people how to songwrite, because it's easy to think, and I think you've probably thought this before in your own life, right? You can think, I'm here, other people are here. And you forget, well, yeah, but if you're here, other people are here. Other people are also here. And it's just part of journey, right? And so we may not be the biggest church who writes songs and originals and making songs that are getting out there on every church's Sunday set, but Matt's written songs that have been played and are played in many churches. Our songs, the Grace Collective songs, are played in a decent amount of churches local to his area, and even not even in the area. And so, and we've been writing since 2019. And it's not as if we don't know what we're talking about when it comes to writing good songs, right? And so remembering that, hey, we have things to give people when it comes to writing. And so that was fun, literally having moments to say, hey, when you're writing a song, this is really getting into the weeds and nerdy about writing songs, but especially when you're writing songs from a book of the Bible, which is what we're doing, First Peter, and we might have this verse, a couple verses we're looking at, and we'll be like, okay, we're writing from these verses. Here's kind of the theme. And then we'd say, okay, well, what verse one is, the theme of verse one is this, right? And then from there you'd go to, okay, well, then the verse two, what's the theme for verse two? And then what's the theme for verse three? And then from there you would build out each verse based on like how you wanted to do it. And it was just super cool. I mean, I loved even doing that, because there was a couple of moments and I got to write with some of my old friends from when I was at my old church, and we are like, we thick as thieves. We get back together, we start laughing, and we can't stop laughing. We're having so much fun. But even just that idea of them being like, yeah, I it's in the past I would write and I would like just kind of throw words on a page, and having this opportunity to write with you all, and even just kind of have that, oh, this is okay, we're doing it this way, and then this verse we're going to focus on this, and really working on being better about writing from that perspective. Because like case in point, this one was verse 2 is return, like coming home, in the sense of when the Lord comes to take us. Verse 1 is judgment, or verse 4 is rest. Like, it's just cool. And then you would have within a verse, you would say a when statement, saying like, here, the verse starts with a when statement. Every verse starts with a when the blank. Or so this song was called When the Shepherd Appears. So every verse started with the when the shepherd appears blank, and then you would thematically build out from there. And so even just that, like working with songwriters and teaching them, like to write really good songs, you have to really plan out what you're doing. You don't just throw something on a page and hope it's good, because usually then that means it's thematically all over the place. And you're relying on the music to cover up for the lack of actual intentional depth and cohesion of the lyrics. And you can get away with that, but the difference that I often have found is you think about some of the bigger songs that we've ever sung in church, modern church. They stopped being played eventually. They were done. You can think of a bigger one. When I was in church, Reckless Love was a huge one. No one plays that one anymore. Why? Because there's a whole new big anthemic song that's replaced it 5 times over, right? But as much as you want to say about hymns or whatever, you could always play a hymn and it would hit differently every time. Whereas an old song like that, you might be like, I don't know if I can keep. I wouldn't want to play that. There's some other ones, and so that's the type of songs that we want to write. Is not just a song that you would go, that's nice for the moment, right? But a song that you would go in 10, 20 years. But yeah, that Grace Collective song from First Peter, love that song. And we're in First Peter, got to play that. Like, I have to do that. Or like here's our theme today. I'd love to have that song. So all that to say, it was very good and very exhausting.
It
was long days.
Sounds good and sounds exhausting in that the science of songwriting is like, I mean, it's like, oh my gosh. I mean, a person like me is like, I just thought you would just like, what rhymes with love, heaven above, you know? I mean, and you.
Well, we even had to teach them that, like the idea of if you get stuck, and I think this is even something to be said about our own lives, is when you get stuck in thinking in a rhyme, it literally, so love above, right? Like that idea of, okay, this line says love, it ends with love. What rhymes with love? And you're going, if you only think that, you might actually miss out on the fact that maybe that line that ends with love is not the better line, and there's a better version of that line, which is another thing that people don't get. They'll think, here are the lines. There might be, and probably are, and usually are, better versions of the lines that you've already written. And what ends up happening though is people get so stuck in the line in itself and where it is, and then because they're trying to rhyme with whatever the end of that line is, they force themselves into a incredibly limited amount of options for whatever the next line is. Because you're like, what do you rhyme with? And you can do stretch rhymes. We are totally fine with stretch rhymes. Like love does not have to have above. It can be something that's a little bit not the same, maybe adjacent in sound and vowel and consonant. But we did say this a lot was don't get so locked into place in your idea of like, it has to be this, because then what ends up happening is you might make the entirety of the verse not as good as it could have been because you were so locked into the rhyming having to be this way. And that came from the fact that you thought this line could only be like this. It was like once you wrote it, it was cemented. And for me, it's not like that. Like we made the joke about me. I always talk about copy and pasting because one of my like go-to moves is going, I don't know if that's a verse 1, that might be a verse 2, and like thematically moving things around and be like, hey, let's copy it here and paste it here and switch it, or that line actually should be here instead of here. And so the joke was like copying, pasting is like, Joel's thing is, hey, what if we moved this to there? And then everyone's like, whoa, I'm like, yeah. Okay, relax. All right. So anyway, I know I could talk about songwriting for forever.
I'm looking at the timestamp as you say forever, and I'm thinking this has been a 15-minute lesson on writing songs, worship songs that I think none of us knew that we were going to get today. So thank you.
Okay,
and
shut up. Look,
to watch you nerd out on this is hilarious to me. It's like you're like I'm like, just tell me what to sing. I'll go worship and like, you know, and be in my, and you are probably like you're probably like with every worship song, you're just like, getting in there, and I can only imagine.
It's one of the hardest parts. It's one of the hardest parts is you just, because there's always something you could write better. I mean, it's like
your inner nerd can't worship.
No, I can. And I did. Honestly, I did when I led. Because the pastor, I don't know if you've ever gotten really emotional about it, but he got his sermon was on idolatry from 1 Corinthians about food that's meant for idol worship and whatever. And then we were taking communion, and he got really emotional about communion, and he was like crying about it, basically being like, turn away is what Paul's saying. But he was saying today, he was like, but like, this opportunity to take communion is to greater realize the presence of the Lord in Christ. And so he's like, charge this table. And he started weeping. I'm like, don't do that. I can't handle that. Because I can't handle it when someone like, a pastor is crying in a service, and I'm looking at him like, oh, because I'm an empath. So I was like, don't look. I was trying not to look at him. And he was front row, like, and I was like, oh gosh, don't do that. But I know I nerded out. Here is the so what for that. The same way you can be so locked into your mentality, or right, you're talking about the difference. You could be so, that's not a bad thing. You can be so oblivious to how to be better at doing something like songwriting, or how songwriting can be better, that you're just like, I mean, life happens, however it happens, and you're just swayed by whatever, and it sucks, and now you suck. right? Or your mentality sucks because you're just like, well, this is negative and I don't really have anything in place to make it better mentally. So I'm just going to, I guess life sucks. Or you're so rigid that you're unable to see any other option for yesterday or tomorrow or even today. And I think I wrestle. I don't know who you are. I think I wrestle with more on the rigidity side in my mentality about life, not the like, I don't really have a plan. Who cares? You know, I'm on the rigid side. I'm like, this is exactly how it's supposed to be. And it doesn't. And I'm going, well, everything sucks because of it. You know, I don't know. What about you?
No, I don't. I think it all has to be a certain way. I'm like rigidity. Yes, is like it's got to work out this way. And if it doesn't work out this way, then I start getting like crap. You know, oh no, oh no, oh no. And flexibility is not something that I would say that I have. And in any area, which I think is probably, I'm seeing that in just kind of the season that I'm in, because I want everything to fit in its tidy little box, and I want everything to you know, and they lived happily ever after at the end of every day, you know, and that's just not life, you know, and uncertainty is life, and unpredictability is life, and you know, cliffhangers aren't just things that happen on Netflix. Like, you have them every day of your life. And there are just some things you're just like, well, I don't know how this is going to turn out. And I don't know when this is going to pick back up and we're going to get to a resolution. And so, yeah, I'm having to, all of that leads to a place of trust and being a trusting, especially in your faith, and trusting your relationship with God as Father. And so, yeah, and that's where I'm at in real time, is just
right,
like,
yeah. How so?
This is not how I expected it to go. And so I'm having conversations with him like, what's your plan? Because I thought this was your plan. And then I start like thinking, well, maybe something's wrong with me.
Right.
You know, maybe I've gone off track. I've gone off.
Yeah. Why is it we do that? Why is it that when we have those conversations with the Lord, right? Like literally what you're just saying. And I wonder, is it because we know that we're not or we feel like, in quotes, we're not supposed to be angry with the Lord. And so we go, well, if I can't be angry with him, then I have to focus my anger somewhere. So I focus on myself. Obviously it's my fault. And is that, I don't know, like,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, cause I you know, I remember being a kid and growing up and hearing this often said, don't question God. Don't question God. We shouldn't question God. And you're like, yeah, you know, okay, I hear that. And so if I'm questioning and it comes across as anger or stressed or frustrated or whatever, then that's bad, and that's dangerous. And I'm learning that even with my own kids, like, and this has been so huge, just even in the past 2 weeks. And yeah, I could rabbit trail here just with some spiritual applications of, so the month of July, I'm taking off from preaching to focus on specific study of all things, the book of Revelation. I want to do a study in Revelation in the fall. And, so I've asked some folks from our church to step up on Sundays and speak and while I'm there, but I'm giving the time during the week that I'd normally be doing sermon preparation for the upcoming week. I'm doing some deep diving into Revelation. So the past 2 weeks, someone else has spoken, and last Sunday, one of our family members at the church, Jason, he preached on Jesus being our kinsman redeemer. And that particular day, I was having these moments with my kids. They were just kind of milling around in church doing different things. And I would have this moment where I look over and I'd see like my son or one of my daughters. And I felt just this, gosh, I love them so much. You know, I'm just so my one daughter, she and her husband have gone through a really crazy time over the past couple of weeks. He's broken his leg, and she's kind of being his his nurse, and she walked up to me before church started, and she just melted, like crying. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this hurts my heart for her, because I see she's tired, and I felt such love for her. And then a little bit later, my son was doing something. He plays the drums, and we do a pre-service prayer. And so he sat down beside me, and I could just, I looked over and saw him just like contemplatively praying. And I was like, man, that makes just, I love watching my kids love Jesus. And so that whole thing was going on. And later that day, I was in this kind of stressful place that I've just been in. And I was like, I feel such love for my kids. I have such a hard time believing that God loves me that way. But
good.
That doesn't start with me. That love for my kids doesn't originate with me. It comes from him through me to them. So if he feels that way about them, then he feels that way about me. And so I'm like, wow, like just to trust in that I am a son and I'm loved and that I'm cared for has been a huge lesson. And then yesterday, bro, you talking about empathy crying. So I didn't preach yesterday either. And one of our other guys gets up, Lamar, and he preaches about Jesus being worthy. And he at the end of it, the service, like he just is like, I didn't ask for permission to do this with Shannon. But I'm going to ask him and Christy if they'll come back up and service communion, which is what she and I normally do. And he said, but I want us to understand that we are blessed with such a he's talking about me being a pastor.
Right, yeah.
He said, as you come today and you receive communion, he said, I want you to just say thank you for what they give. Cool. And he said, and then this blew me away. He was like, I just know that it's been kind of a tough few weeks for them. And I think that this is a really good opportunity if you want to like just come and leave something in a basket here as just a love offering for our pastor and his family. And I couldn't hold it together. I was like, this was like, and the day before I had been praying like, God, I just need to know where I'm at with you, because I feel like I'm in trouble with you. I feel that wow. Sick on my stomach.
Wow.
And so, yeah, yesterday was a day of just like, this isn't how I expected it to go. This was not the plan, the plan for June, the plan for July so far has not been the plan. And yet he's showing up and he's just doing some really cool things just to say, I got this. I got your life. I got all the details worked out. So breathe and chill out and stress some less. So that's what I'm trying to do, is stress some less. Yeah. That's my 15-minute.
I was about to say, it's okay. We both did it. You nerded out about God's provision, and I nerded out about music and songwriting. No, it's great. I will say this too, listening back to one of the episode that went live, or it's going to go live tomorrow. And by the time this episode comes out, it'll probably be a couple weeks ago. And one of the clips we shared was the whole me in the moment pressing launch to the Kickstarter. And, now, all this time later, probably not hitting the 30,000 that, we are hopefully going to hit. But seeing God's provision in the other ways, right? Like in like the crazier ways, in the I decided to go to the gym at this time, and that was the time that this person who works out in it decided to talk to me about they're going to try to do a $5,000 grant from their family foundation, right? And that's probably not going to be in time for the Kickstarter, but that will still sit in the Stay bank account, which then I'm like, oh, that means I actually have some cash I can use from that to go towards the marketing. The thing that I was really hoping to do is like right after launch, just big marketing push. And I'm going, that wasn't the way that I thought it, like you said, that wasn't the way that I thought it was going to go. But that doesn't happen if like I just don't decide I'll work out at this time. And that it's so cool that, watching myself freak out in that clip. All right, I'm going to press it. It goes live, and I'm freaking out. And now here I am on basically 2 days left for the 30,000. Probably not going to hit it. And I'm like, okay, you know it? The Lord is he still good? Yes. And is he still providing? Yes. And I'm, someone asked, I just want to know, you're still going to do this even if you don't hit Kickstarter. I'm like, well, of course I'm still going to do it. What are you talking about? Like, it's going live regardless of whether we got the 30K. I don't care. So,
yeah, I mean, and that reminds me of what I one of my favorite verses is, and I don't know where it's at, but I just know I go to this often, that God says that my ways are not your ways.
Yep.
My thoughts are not your thoughts. And he says that they're higher. But we think that ours are, like, we think we know better. And and
that one, the cool thing about that verse too, that I don't know if a lot of people know, is like that verse is actually in the context of his mercy. And it's not like, not just planning. It's literally talking about him having mercy. He's like, no. Like, you and I don't operate the same way. I am actually one who's, I'm really the actual loving, kind, and merciful one. And you're not. And you think you know it better, but I am. And that also is so pertinent too, because you're right. Like, he is so much more merciful and kind in his ways and his plans and his thoughts than we are. And I think even, like we're saying, towards ourselves, like you and I wrestle with that. I especially do, with like being merciful and kind in my own thoughts towards myself. That's a great verse to bring up, because I'm like, I need to remember that. God's ways are so much higher in his viewing of me than myself in my view of myself. So, yeah.
I live oftentimes thinking, when troubles come, when hard times come, this is my fault. I've done this. This is the result of my actions, my choices, my lack of whatever. And in reality, like what Lamar preached about yesterday at our church was sometimes suffering, and like Job didn't go through what he went through because Job did anything bad. Job went through what he went through because he was faithful, and God found him faithful. And we want to look at, when we see trouble coming, we're like, oh, this isn't God's will. But what I've seen that it does is, man, it causes me to pray more. It causes me to like crawl up in his lap more. And while, I wouldn't say I'm, more spiritual in this season, but I definitely feel like he's consuming my thoughts of my desperation for him. And it's like, and so in that, the thing that I love, that I feel happening, is it's like, wait, this really isn't about me and what I've done wrong. It's about him making me more and more knitted to his heart. And I need to be okay with that. I really need to be okay with that. And yeah, I mean, gosh, listen, look, our podcast trip, it's funny that we've spent so much time just being like spiritually inspirational. And I don't think that we set out to be that way, but I do, just even saying and hearing you say what we've just, it's like, yeah, like the anxiety, the iffiness that I felt even in today, it's just being reminded of those truths can bring a calm that's so sweet. So
it's, yeah, I mean, like, but this is one of the coolest things about how the Lord works, right? Is that doesn't happen, right? If I don't go up to Virginia and I literally am working on songs from First Peter, and it's basically so much of First Peter is just suffering and hope. It's just the dichotomy of, you got suffering, you got hope. You got suffering, you got hope. And all weekend I'm writing, like, oh, there was this one, I gotta quote it, because to me, what is it? Come set your hope. I think that was the one. This one right here. The idea that, in the chorus, it was something like this. It was come set your hope fully on Christ, who paid your debt with his life. All who come trusting in him, he'll take your burdens and your sins. Come set your hope fully on him. And like that, those are the things that I was constantly in and writing. And this other one that I don't know if I've written better lyrics. I think these are some of the best lyrics I've ever written. And one of them was, and even when we brought this up to the group as like, hey, what do you think about this song? they focused on these few lines, and one of them is this. So the verse goes like this: "It's come, O come to Jesus, like little children come, expecting grace and mercy, for his heart is your home. So come, O come to Jesus, sit down at his feet. The more you choose to trust him, the more you know your need." And that what you're saying, like the more you're choosing to trust him, the more you're going to see like, oh, okay, yeah, like you're the person that I'm supposed to be relying on, not myself, right? But the more it's ironic is like the more we trust in ourselves, the more we see just how sucky we are to trust in. And then,
oh my gosh,
I
mean, because I will screw it up, So if I trust in myself, I'm always going to make a mess of things. And yeah, like, yeah. And say that again, the going to him just causes you to see how much you need.
Yeah. So come, come to Jesus as you look. Where is it? There it is. So come, come to Jesus and sit down at his feet. The more you choose to trust him, the more you know your need.
Yeah, that's pretty tight. So good.
Anyway,
good stuff.
But I came out of a weekend literally just writing those things, meditating on the truth, right? Obviously. And as a result, I mean, I came into the week kind of with Sunday scaries because I was just like, I drove half of the day, got in, and then I'm like, 3, 2, 1, go. Here's work. Here's everything else. Here's stay stuff. Here's podcast stuff. Here's other things and everything I'm working. And I'm like, and yet it was interesting was when you and I kind of came into the podcast to start, right? You're feeling the stress of everything that's been going on. And it's not that I'm just like, woohoo, everything's great. But I have felt as a result a little lighter today. I'm not this miraculously, weightless, but I do feel lighter. And I think it's because I spent all weekend meditating on those things like that. Or lines like, so come to Jesus, for he is coming soon. The day could be tomorrow that he makes all things new.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
So like those are the things I was just meditating. Anyway, so now it turned into we're preaching on this podcast, which we haven't done. We've talked about Jesus a little bit, but this is basically Jesus the whole time.
This has turned into a men's Bible study.
We might get more listeners, we might get less. Who knows?
Hey, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens if we're like, hey, bring more. Then okay.
People are gonna be like, actually, can you talk about that more often? We really would like that.
Or maybe they're like, yeah, now go back to talking about doing stupid stuff. Leaving your grilled food out on the counter all night.
Actually, really funny moment happened when we over the weekend in that area that his church is at. There's a lot of homeless people. It's in a downtown area, and I roll up in my cool green car, and this homeless guy's kind of hanging around the church. He's like, yo, that car is great, man, that's so sick. He's just like this, he's probably your height, but he's this big fat black guy, and I mean, he's like, that's so cool. And we're chatting. And then Matt rolls up and he's able to get into the church. And then, so this homeless guy's like, hey, can I use the bathroom? And he proceeded to be there for about 3 hours, taking basically a shower in one of the bathrooms that doesn't have a shower. He took a sink shower. He washed his shirt and then was drying it outside in the sun, ate like 4 of the donuts. And I bought 2 dozen donuts both days just so everyone would have, like, from my favorite local donut shop there. He ate like a quarter of the donuts. Like, bro. And he's shirtless while we're like trying to write songs, like in the background. I'm like, what is happening? And
he ate my donuts.
And like at some point, Matt and one of the main pastor who had showed up eventually was like, hey, you do have to go. Like, you can't just hang out here. We let you go to the bathroom, basically shower, eat a bunch of our food, like you got to go. But it was just funny because it started because of my car. And I'm not that person that doesn't talk to people. So he was talking to me. And so we're just chatting. And I'm like, the familiarity that we got from there has led to him using that to get inside, which is still not the craziest thing that's ever to happen to me with a homeless person. So, I've had a homeless person very strongly ask for my ice cream cone that I was currently eating at one point. That was really funny.
Well, so I don't know. We have lots of interaction with homeless folks here, and at one point we lived in downtown Chattanooga. We were we were not too far from the interstate, and we saw a lot of homeless folks coming to our church. We were doing Saturday night services, and so they would come on Saturday night. And one morning, I walked out on my front porch, and one of our homeless guys was sitting on my porch swing at my house with a box of donuts, and he had eaten most of them. And he filled out a card one night. He said his name was Mark. His first name was Mark, and his last name was Underbridge because he lived under the bridge. And so Mark Underbridge was sitting on my front porch with a box of donuts, and he's like, "Hey, Shannon, I got some donuts. Want one?" And he hands me what's left in his hand of what he's been eating. I'm like, "No, man, no, thank you for that, but you probably need to go too, because my kids are going to be coming out going to school, and they're going to be pretty freaked out seeing some guy on our porch swing." And now the other we got a friend, Raymond. He's also, we say he's camping, but he's homeless. He's got lots of medical issues, and so he gave the hospital my telephone number because he doesn't have a telephone number. So I'm getting his calls to for medical appointments, testing, and all these different things that he's supposed to be going to. So you share your donuts and and I've had donuts shared with me. So
donuts and homeless people.
That puts life in perspective for you, you know?
That's bro, that honestly, yeah, like going back to that area too, because we didn't live that far from that church at one point. We lived this really old historic home in front of the shipyard in Newport News, Virginia. And I loved it. It was it's my favorite house I've ever lived in. As it was like 1920s, and it had all the original hardwood floors and glass doorknobs, and it was such a cute little home. And the surrounding area after a certain radius was not great, but it had gotten worse. Like there weren't any homeless people ever camping out near the interstate or near some of the underpasses and stuff. And when we were driving around over the weekend, I was like, there are like crazy amount of tents. And it does put things into perspective. Like even looking back, when we were there at that house, I was making maybe $30,000 a year as a pastor. And now I'm drastically higher than that in my current profession. And and that wasn't that long ago. I mean, that was 7 years ago was when I was in that house. And now here I am at a tech company, and I'm driving back to town, right? Like in a completely different life season in life stage. And it really does put things into perspective when you do that. You know, when you go back to places where you used to be in a different season, at a different time, and you see like, wow, it is so much different. And it does cause you to be more thankful, you know?
Absolutely. So, I mean, it puts perspective.
You got to stop typing on your computer.
Sorry. I had to respond to a text message that was coming through.
It's like a typewriter.
Hey, we didn't grab any wins between the last episode and this episode. So
we did not, because we recorded just recently. But
yeah,
what was your win?
My kid turned 16 yesterday, man, and he is he's getting his driver's test tomorrow. He's going to be driving.
So fun.
And yeah, no, I'm super proud of him. I'm super proud of him. So to see him, and yeah, it's cool. It's cool to watch him, you know, cross these life thresholds.
That's crazy. Nope, here it goes. Keep type. Just type.
Sorry.
Just go.
Sorry.
Just type.
There we go. I had this stretch thin.
You're so stretched thin. It can wait. It can wait until we're done. We're not going to be going that much longer. Can it wait? Can it wait 5 minutes? We got to teach. we gotta get better about that. I'm gonna force you to do that.
Okay. What's your win?
My win was actually I made it back in bed in time for bedtime. I left right after we were done with church. I mean, I was gone, and I got on the road and I got back at like 6:40. And even with all the craziness of the back roads and everything, and having to stop a couple times, I made it back, and I was like, within 5 minutes, it was bedtime, and Joanna was really appreciative of that, and the kids, the hugs were huge, and it was awesome. And it was, to me, I was like, sometimes, you feel like, is it really going to be worth it? And to me, it was so worth it. So that was
absolutely nothing like bedtime.
It's true. And then, of course, because of it, Ed was so excited he took forever to go to sleep. So that's.
But did he sleep? Did he sleep all night? Is he better now?
He did not. He woke up, and then Joanna went in there. But then, right as soon as she got back in bed, he started crying again. So then I went in there and laid on the floor for about like 40 minutes. So no, he didn't. But apparently, while I was gone, he slept great. So wonderful. That's great for you.
Yeah.
When she told me that, I was like, how did they sleep? Concerned
like,
husband. I'm so sorry. How did they sleep? She was like, couldn't have been better. And I wanted to be like, you. And the whole weekend, they were great. I'm like, come on. So.
Suffering. It's okay.
There's always hope.
There's always
anyway.
hope.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to the podcast. We are
for
appreciative.
Our men's Bible study today.
Our men's Bible. This is stretched thin, the Bible podcast now. It's no longer about being stretched thin. Anyway, but we're very appreciative of you listening to our Bible study and sitting through our little thing. And for sharing as you do, and sharing the clips and liking them and watching them. We actually do get pretty good engagement on Instagram for our videos, even though we don't have, in quotes, a ton of followers on Instagram. They get a lot of plays, and so that means that a lot of people are watching the clips. So we appreciate that, and we appreciate the people that are listening each week. And just share it with your friends. Send us your wins, though. Remember to text WIN, WIN, to 420-223
210 4777.
That's right. 423-210-4777. Text WIN to WIN. So we thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. See y'all.
See you.